Today we're going to be talking about the Eternal Conflict. This is something we kind of alluded to at BlizzCon last year. The Nexus being a place thematically where we're bringing all these heroes from Blizzard universes together. We were really looking forward to bringing environments from our different game universes together for the first time as well. And we're doing this through the Eternal Conflict, bringing the world of Sanctuary into the Nexus. We have a pretty cool trailer. I don't know if you guys saw it last night. That's going on now.
This is one of the best trailers since launch, I think.
Cool. Thanks a ton. They worked their butts off on it.
I will say, when I first saw it, though, I'm like, okay, they're announcing Deckard Cain, right?
One day, I am sure that will be real.
I'm sure, yeah. But that was my thought process. As soon as I heard that voice, I was like, oh my god, Deckard Cain's gonna be a hero.
So, the Eternal Conflict is going to be new Diablo-themed Battlegrounds. We've talked a lot about the Battlefield of Eternity. We have a second Battleground that's in development that's not quite ready to talk about. In addition to Diablo Heroes going to be coming online. The trailer pretty much showcased a lot of what we're talking about in the immediate future. The Butcher we've talked about recently. Leoric we're going to talk about in more depth today. The Monk we kind of have a little bit to allude to, but not like a full disclosure yet. And we have an exciting in-game event that's going to coincide with the Battlefield of Eternity, the Treasure Goblin event. So at the beginning of a match in the starting area, a Treasure Goblin will randomly spawn. And this works just like it does in D3. You want to dogpile the Goblin before he opens up his exit portal, and this will coincide with the daily quest. Every day, if you get the quest, you can kill a Goblin and earn 100 in-game gold to put towards buying skins, mounts, stuff like that. The gold payout is once per day if you have the quest. You can kill multiple Goblins per day if other people have the quest. It's a really cool thing to usher in the Goblin, and we have some new heroes as well.
So, we've talked about the Butcher before, and that he's going to be coming as kind of our launch hero for the Eternal Conflict, but shortly after him will also be Leoric, so the Skeleton King from Diablo. He's a warrior. Kind of the defining aspect to him is his trait, which is called Undying. And what it is that when he falls in battle, he doesn't die like the other heroes. He stays around as the spirit, as a ghost on the battlefield. He can still maneuver, position himself, and use his abilities. He doesn't do any damage while he's in ghost form, but any of his abilities that have other effects, like slowing or other types of manipulation like that, can influence the battle. In addition, while he's in ghost form, any healing effects he does to himself, many of his abilities kind of can do a heal effect on him. That reduces his death timer. So he's got this death timer while he's in the spirit form, and when that runs out, he comes back and is restored on the battlefield right where he was. But if you do any of these healing effects, it cuts that down even more, and you basically cheat death, and as a result, come back sooner. So there's a quick little video here where Leoric is up ahead here, gets kind of powered down by his two enemies, becomes a ghost, and is moving around the battlefield, uses one of his abilities here to slow them. They don't really respect the fact that he's coming back, and when he does, they're all so damaged now that he's able to just finish them off and wreck them. So you really have to pay attention to Leoric. Just because you took him out doesn't mean he's out of this fight forever. Like, he's going to be back.
Yeah.
And so you got to make sure, oh, no, there's his spirit. He's still around. Hold on, he's going to come back. His abilities, his Q is called Skeletal Swing, his W is called Drain Hope, and his E is called Wraith Walk. And I'll show you some videos that kind of explain these a little better. His Q is Skeletal Swing. These first two are like basic attacks, and this last one is that Skeletal Swing, where it's an arc in front of him, doing a good amount of damage and also slowing anything that he hits. So it's good for like clearing waves. It's good for slowing down enemies who are trying to get to your back line, or even trying to run away from you. This is Drain Hope. It's a skill shot. If you hit with this attack, this third hand comes out and basically grasps onto an enemy. As long as that enemy stays within, you see this blue area of effect circle around here? As long as it stays within that, it's a life steal basically. He's draining health from his enemy and giving it to Leoric.
Can they run away from it?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's not that you're like permanently latched on, but as you move away, it's still kind of loosely leashed to you. Yeah, tugging more. And then if you get out of that radius, then it will break.
Okay.
So and also while he's in this mode, Leoric moves slower. So that gives you the opportunity to actually run away.
Okay.
And then there's some talents that enhance this ability, and one of those talents actually makes you move at full speed, and so makes it even more difficult to get away from him on his own. And this was one of the abilities that I mentioned when he's in his Undying Ghost form. If you hit with this, since it does a life steal, this is really going to burn through your timer, and you'll come back pretty quickly, depending on how late it is in the game.
When you're in the raid form, do you look physically different, so it's known to the other team, or
the spirit?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
You that was the first video that we had there, where you look like this gray kind of ghostly figure, and also his legs are gone. He's basically floating.
Got it. Okay.
And then also the health bar above, it changes from his life health bar to a gray countdown timer.
Okay.
And that's basically saying his death timer and when he's going to come back.
Got it.
So you can also, when he's about to come back, you can be like, okay, we need to position.
Yeah. Very cool.
And then this is Wraith Walk. When he uses this ability, he basically detaches and becomes this Wraith. And you can completely control this Wraith when you're in this form. In this case, he moves in a straight line, but you can actually move around the battlefield. And you move very quickly when you're in this form as well. So in this case, Malfurion wants to get away, but Leoric's not having any of that and kind of chases him down. It's also great for getting past like a front line of tanks. You want to get through them and get to the back line. Also, if you need to escape, if things got a little bit too hot for you and you want to get out. While he's in this Wraith Walk, his body stays stationary. He is unstoppable in that mode, so he can't be stunned, but he can still take damage. So as an enemy, you can try to DPS him down as well. So his first heroic ability is called Entomb, and this really speaks to kind of the Diablo Waller ability, where in this case, if a guy tries to run away, he just creates these walls around him and controls the battle, makes sure that people are exactly where he wants them to be. At level,
is it always the same wall, or is
it is, yeah, it is always the same wall. At least with this skin,
right.
I don't know, when we had new skins. Well, at level 20, you can also pick a talent that enhances this even more, where spikes start coming out of the ground in the walled out area, and so you can really do some damage.
Nice.
His second ultimate is March of the Black King. This is basically a targeted ability that's directed, where you pick a direction, he marches forward, swinging that weapon, doing massive damage, and everyone that he hits heals him as well. Okay. And he's unstoppable while he's in this. So here, you see him just wrecking an entire team right there. Now, in this case, they're all a little bit damaged, and it's the Vikings as well, but it still does incredible amounts of damage.
You have a preference of which one you prefer?
I was actually using this a lot in our playtests, just because you can, I mean, for one thing, I think it just looks amazing as well.
It does look really cool.
But you can really, like, change a fight where people are coming in and they see this thing coming, suddenly everyone starts just, spreading out. The Entomb ability is actually a lot of fun too. You just need to be able to use it at the right times, because you need to be able to grab that card. So it's very powerful, but it's a little more. You gotta know when the right time.
Right.
Also on this one on level 20, if you pick the 20 talent that enhances this, when his last hit goes off, he actually will also cast Dying Hope Draining Hope on everyone around him, and that's that life steal. So all of the heroes that are left will get then life leashed as well, so it's pretty powerful. So, more stuff then beyond that.
Yeah, in the video you saw the monk. We're kind of just going to talk about him really lightly. The community was pretty vocal about wanting to get a Diablo support character. The monk is going to fill that role as a melee character, and just a little quick view of him. His trait is something that's going to be selected as his level 1 talent, and that's going to be kind of a really strong thread of what makes the monk unique. From the onset, he can kind of choose what traits he wants to best enhance his team ability, whether it's more DPS, more healing, whatever role would kind of accentuate the team composition to begin with, the monk will cater to that. So that's kind of our recap of the Eternal Conflict for right now. Like I said, we have more heroes and Battlegrounds on the way. A public test run will be coming up on June 23rd, giving early access to the Battleground only. The official Eternal Conflict launch is on June 30th, which will also coincide with the release of the Butcher, and finally Leoric is going to enter the Nexus sometime in July.
Cool. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Is the presentation available at all? No.
It's just
Okay. But all the assets are on the press site, right?
yes, they are.
Okay, alright, so some questions that I've had the rest of the people on my site kind of help me get together for today. So,
Sure.
How many Battlegrounds are you aiming for with the Eternal Conflicts? Is that something you guys can answer?
Just 2.
Just 2?
Yeah. For the event itself, it's two Battlegrounds.
Okay, and is there a timeline for that, or is that something that...
It's over the course of several months, but we don't actually have a specific timeline for the next Battleground.
Originally, I think you guys said you wanted to try to release heroes every 3 weeks. Is that something that you're still going to try to stick to?
Yep.
Or...
And in fact, with the current schedule here, it's turning out that that is going to line up here. So we really want to hit that cadence of heroes every few weeks.
Okay, so that the Butcher with the first, or on the 30th, and then hopefully within 3 weeks, the Monk is looking after that?
Leoric.
Leoric is first,
yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, Leoric first, and then 3 weeks after that.
I will say that the 3 weeks is kind of our rule of thumb, but
Right.
some might be a
not
week
a-
longer.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's not a hard and fast
No.
rule, it's just
But
nice to have.
we really want to have that cadence, yeah.
Are there more heroes that are looking to be part of this Eternal Conflict, or...
We haven't actually announced anything more, but there's also more content just in terms of skins as well that you might have even seen during the video.
Right.
Some Diablo-themed skins and so on.
When will we know about when those are coming? Are those coming with the initial launch, or is that throughout later?
The skins?
The skins, yeah.
Not all of them. I think they've actually got them spread out over the course of the event.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, if you go through the video, you can kind of get a glimpse of some of them. There's an Amazon skin for Nova, which we call the Novazon. It redoes all her effects, so when she does snipes, she throws javelins and cool stuff like that. We have an angelic Diablo that's in the video as well. And we have some pretty crazy cosmetic changes for Leoric and stuff like that coming up.
Awesome. With more Battlegrounds, are you retiring any current ones for matchmaking? And are there any matchmaking improvements in development?
So first on the map side, what we're actually doing for this specific release is we're going to cut the pool down to just be a set of about 4 or 5 maps, including the new one. And the reason is that we wanted to, initially when it first comes out, people want to try the new Battleground, and because of the fact that it's randomly selecting a map, you might not get it as much. So we wanted to cut down that pool to make it so that Battlefield's Return shows up more often. We would go back to a normal pool about a week later, but then going forward, our plan is actually to have kind of a map rotation similar to how we have with Heroes, where potentially every week, potentially every few weeks, we'd have a set of maps that were in the pool for that time, and then we'd cycle that, and we keep on changing it. And then, and as we keep adding more, and eventually we may come to a place where we've got so many maps that we actually decide we want to take some out completely. I don't think we've reached that point yet, but it's something we've talked about.
Are there any plans for like custom games being able to choose maps, or is that still not on the table?
So we got custom games right now, but we don't have it as a public facing. So you can make a custom game to play on the map you want,
Okay.
but it's only private, so you have to invite people in.
Okay.
So you can already, So in fact, on the day that Battlefield of the Eternity launches, you can immediately go and play it with your friends on a custom game.
And is Battlefield Eternity available for everybody? There's no cost associated with the map?
No cost. Yep. It's another map in the pool. So.
Okay. Let's see. In Eternal Conflict evolving the forces of hell in the high heavens requires transportation. What mounts will be introduced during this event?
We don't really have anything we can talk to you specifically just yet in terms of the mounts and stuff, but we definitely have plans to kind of make an all-encompassing experience with this Eternal Conflict. So it's everything. It's the Goblin, it's the heroes, it's the map, it's the skin and mount content. It's just it's stuff that's kind of staggered right now as we draw this out over the course of the Eternal Conflict.
So we can expect something, just not anything you
There
can talk about yet.
are some themed mounts in there as well.
I guess I kind of asked this earlier, but considering Deckard Cain is featured in the trailer, are there any plans to introduce him as a hero?
There's design docs, there's a list of things that eventually everything will come to fruition if we have enough time. Deckard gets brought up a lot. We have no immediate plans to talk to, but we definitely think about that guy a lot.
What kind of hero would you be? If you want, like, what would you want him to be?
What would I want? Man, Deckard just keeps talking. So I pitched this, I would love it if you were escorting Deckard, he would be immune to everything when he was being escorted. So if he's next to another hero, he would never shut up. And his abilities would be things like, and their perseverance doubled, and like everyone would just rebuff, and he'd just like say, like basically tell a story out loud. And if all the heroes around him died, then he's truly screwed. You can kill him, or maybe he gets like trapped in a gibbet or something, and you can free him. But like that's my lingering impression of like the guy talked a lot and he followed you around. You had to escort him. So that's how I treat him. Just like he gets, as long as he's with the group, you can't hurt him. But once he's exposed, it's like get out of here.
That would definitely be unique. I like that. Are there any plans for any kind of story mode or any other game modes in the immediate future?
Nothing that we've announced yet, but we're definitely looking at all kinds of things. Like just, in fact, I don't even think we've truly dug deep into the whole Battlegrounds concept. Like, I think we've only scratched the surface there, where we can go crazy with these Battlegrounds.
Absolutely.
And I think you're going to start to see us try out some more unique and like really breaking the kind of foundation of what the game is. There's some of these Battlegrounds. And then going forward, absolutely, we're looking at game modes too. There's all kinds of ideas, cool stuff that we'd like to explore, and so I'm sure we'll have news.
On the note of Battlegrounds, have you guys looked at possibly saying what Battlegrounds there are in WoW and how many of those could possibly work in this, maybe like a Rocky Basin or something?
No, it's been brought up on several occasions.
It's been brought up. We had a really rough testing version of Arathi Basin. There's gameplay modes that we definitely borrow from that. Like, through the iteration of this project, we've definitely fooled around and tinkered with all that stuff. It's just a matter of the climate of the community, what we can bring to fruition, what would enhance the experience. We're already providing stuff like that. With
your tools, it's pretty easy to, spin up a new map, and maybe just for testing, right? Like, are you guys able to develop those fairly quickly?
Oh yeah, we have a pretty hefty directory of maps that people are just kind of tinkering on and pitching ideas, and that's, ultimately the origin of the whole Heroes of the Storm to begin with, is we had these great map tools from Wings of Liberty, and we wanted to show, like, here's some different games you can make, and Heroes is like, hey, you should keep making that one, and, 5 years later, here we are.
Do you think we'll ever see, like, custom maps from the community?
It's something we've talked about. Yeah. We, based on the fact that we're built on this engine that allows for very rich kind of customization and modding in StarCraft, the arcade.
Right.
It's something we've discussed. We think we do want to bring it for sure. It's a question of when and also how. It's not clear that it'll be exactly the way it was in StarCraft. It might be a different experience, but it's something we're interested in. We're going to talk about it in the future, I'm sure.
Back to the Skeleton King. I know you touched on some of this already, but how do you see his talents affecting gameplay and the playstyle that would be possible with him?
Yeah, I think the Undying trait, first off, is like really defines what you do with him, where you might be a little more aggressive because you're okay if you die because you're not going to be out of the game for that long. But you do have to be careful because there's a negative there where every time you're dying, you're giving them XP. It is a real death. And so that's something that you're going to have to play around with. I love the Wraith Walk ability. I think that there's some great ways for, because one of the things that I think is really cool about Heroes is the fact that Heroes have collision and they can body block each other, and it's like a defining part of this game where if you get in front of a guy and you just hold him back and your team comes and jumps on him. But Wraith Walk kind of breaks that up a little bit, where if they've set up like a front line of defense and you can just go right through it, there's cool scouting abilities too. So
that is cool. That'll definitely change things up a bit, I think. So
he's also got a lot of talents that are basically a life gain.
Okay.
And so I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being a very sustaining character as well.
It seems like he's got really good survivability there.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's see. Are there any new, or what kind of siege or melee mercenaries are going to appear in these maps? Anything that we're familiar with from Diablo? Or
Yeah, so for Battlefield of Eternity, we completely redid everything. So cores, towers, the whole environment's from the ground up, scratch built. And the mercenaries are unique to the Battlefield of Eternity and the Eternal Conflict itself, where we have, in one case, we have Fallen Shaman, and they will summon fallen hounds, and those hounds will continually be summoned until you kill the shaman. So that makes it a much more endurance-like mercenary where, you know, it's like someone needs to go kill that shaman because those dogs are just going to keep showing up. Do you know what the goatmen do? I know we have a pack of 3 goatmen.
Yeah, the goatmen, so they're very similar to the normal siege, except they come in threes instead, and they throw the spear. I don't know that they're fundamentally different from the rock throwers, but they come in threes instead, so it's a different thing.
So now that we have a good idea of who's coming for the Diablo universe right now, is there anything that you can tease about what other heroes that you guys might like to touch on with the Eternal Conflict coming? It's such a vast universe.
Oh man, Diablo, it always has so many opportunities for great bosses. Like, bosses are such cool characters in that universe, and we've kind of brainstormed like how do we realize them. We have Diablo and Asmodean and now Leoric and the Butcher, who really kind of just bring this awesome presence and really bring back a lot of memories too. And whenever we talk about who's next, we're always like, well, what about a Primeval, or what about this guy or that guy? And, it's always that roster, whatever the best fit is at the time. Who knows what to pull the trigger on?
It's tough because there's so many that we want. The community's got their ideas, we've got our, and everyone's like, oh, I want this, I want that. So, but it's we take a lot of these factors into it, whether it's the community, whether it's attorney, whether it's what roles we need in the case of the monk.
Right.
We really need the support on the Diablo side. So,
how do you prioritize that list?
It's really a lot about avoiding redundancies wherever possible, not having character overlap, ability overlap. Sometimes it's like, let's round out a universe, like Eternal Conflict. A lot of it is like the Diablo presence has really been amped up with Eternal Conflict. Things like that. There's so many different factors in terms of what would make this game more enriched, more robust by adding to the experience and the content.
After experimenting with alternate timeline skins, cross-ID skins, trope-based skins, what other new themes might you guys look to explore when it comes to skins?
One of Leoric's skins definitely touches on this, so keep an eye out for it in the future. Let's see what else. We had a lot of fun doing the crossover with Diablo, putting him in angelic armor, making him angelic Diablo. We've gotten some community feedback about the appearance of the demonic material.
Oh yeah.
So we've amped up his artwork as well. We thought it would be great to have Nova and Amazon costume, so we have the Novas on with her
like that.
great tool. We always like just finding those opportunities to kind of explore that stuff.
That's all very cool. Will the treasure goblin appear on the minimap?
that's a good question.
Hey, sure.
I don't know.
Will the treasure goblin appear on the minimap?
We'll have to look at that.
Okay.
I don't think he does, but honestly, he's right in the starting area. So
Okay.
after you walk out of the gate, he's right there.
So does it happen for both sides?
If it happens in that game, it will happen for both sides.
Okay.
And it's in your kind of gated off areas.
So you're going to see it right away?
You'll see it right away.
Is it before the gates open?
It is.
Okay.
And you have to actually kill him before the gates open.
Oh,
If the gates
okay.
open, his portal appears and he runs off to Treasure Goblin Land.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, the minimap would be nice, but it's not. It's right in that confined area. You're
Yeah.
going to see it right away.
You don't need to go
anyway,
and search
so,
for it.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was something that maybe wasn't clear, and so that's probably why the question was asked. So knowing that it's in your starting area, I think that the minimap isn't quite as crucial. So let's see. Okay. have you considered adding rare random events or random spawn mobs in Battlegrounds? For example, one day a Quillbore Shaman spawns, and it becomes a follower of whoever defeats it, dropping buff totems, auras, entanglement, or polymorph, stuff like that. Wow, that's a very involved question, sorry.
I wouldn't be surprised if the design guys have kicked ideas like this around. Obviously, their philosophies are very much, gameplay centric and having that right amount of balance and randomization. But yeah, I don't know.
I think the thing that might be difficult there is that having random spawns where if they only affected one side, people might say like, okay, well, I just got unlucky.
Yeah.
So, but we do have some randomization just on certain map mechanics, like the tribute spawning from Earth.
Right. Yeah, I guess it'd be similar to that.
Yeah.
Can we expect other Blizzard heroes from novels to enter the Nexus? The list I have here isn't just explicit to the novels, but Varian, Artanis, Blackthorn, Zale the Necromancer. So things that are obviously key to a game, but maybe also Blizzard novels as well. Is that something that you'll plan on exploring?
Yes, definitely. Everything is viable. We have some concepts of those guys that are just kind of like a brainstorm behind the sky kind of thing, and if we have enough time, eventually we're going to get to a lot of those characters. It's just a waiting game.
Diablo 3 was the first Diablo franchise allowing one to choose your hero's gender. Will you introduce skins that allow people to choose their favorite incarnation of their hero, or do you think about turning them into new heroes altogether?
We had this, I think it was at BlizzCon 2013, we showed the gender swap versions of the Barbarian and the Witchstalker, which are very, very fun to do, but in terms of like the game's infrastructure and the functionality, we're not in a place where we can go full steam ahead implementing that. That's something we definitely want to do. Doing Diablo 3 Incarnation is a big one on our list. Bringing back the gender swaps not only for Diablo classes, but also playing with, female Illidan or, Arthas, whatever it is. There's a lot of potential there that is simply just not at the top of our priority in terms of what we're working on, but we absolutely want to get to that eventually.
Okay, cool. Do you think it makes more sense from as a skin or more as a new hero altogether?
We, in the past, were looking at a way to integrate these guys as new heroes, but we felt like visually it created a bit of confusion when you see a male barbarian dressed just like Sonya, and you're thinking like, okay, well, they're going to behave the same, and then there's a very real disconnect. We thought, it makes a lot more sense to skin that's just, a high quality skin with VO and all that other stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can see that definitely being needed. So, with that, I think that's all the questions I have. So I really appreciate your guys' time, and thanks for answering
questions. Thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, thanks guys.